As the situation in Syria escalates, UK Prime Minister Theresa May has reportedly asked for more evidence that the Syrian government carried out an alleged chemical weapons attack in Douma. But as she probably knows, it's not just the Syrian government that's been accused of using chemical weapons. Because Syrian opposition groups, funded by the UK government, have been accused of war crimes too. An inconvenient truth. In 2016, Amnesty accused opposition groups in Syria of carrying out indiscriminate attacks in a predominantly Kurdish area of Aleppo. It said at the time that armed groups surrounding the predominantly Kurdish Sheikh Maksud district of Aleppo city have repeatedly carried out indiscriminate attacks, possibly including with chemical weapons, that have struck civilian homes, markets and mosques, killing and injuring civilians, and have displayed a shameful disregard for human life. Amnesty claimed that some patients displayed symptoms consistent with chlorine gas poisoning, the same chemical allegedly used in the Douma attack on Saturday, the 7th of April. The organization said in 2016 that the groups responsible for possible war crimes included Noor al-Din Zinki, which was linked in a BBC Panorama investigation to UK government money. As BBC News reported, Panorama exposed the fact that foreign aid money going to Syria via Adam Smith International was falling into the hands of extremists, specifically Noor al-Din Zinki. The group has also been linked to other atrocities, including the beheading of a 12-year-old boy. The government suspended the aid program pending investigation. Also, on the 21st of March this year, the UK government admitted in a parliamentary response that it had provided £32 million of support to the moderate opposition in Syria between 2011 and 2017. It refused to confirm or deny if this money had been going to al-Sham, which is another group accused by Amnesty of possible war crimes. Fluid situation. The current situation in Douma, and Syria more broadly, is fluid. At the time of publication, the US, UK and French governments are in talks over a possible military response to the alleged attack in Douma. Reports indicate that, on the 7th of April, more than 70 people died after a bombing raid on the city in eastern Ghouta. Syrian opposition groups and their medical partners claim that victims had symptoms consistent with chemical weapon poisoning. No outside organizations have access to Douma, but the World Health Organization, WHO, says that opposition groups claim more than 500 were injured in the attack. But the Syrian government and its ally Russia disagree, claiming there was no evidence of a chemical weapons attack. Russia has said that any Western, illegal military endeavor would be met with retaliation. So far, there has been no official independent investigation into the incident. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, is preparing to visit Douma at the request of the Syrian and Russian governments. Syria's war, no innocents, except civilians. The complete impasse over Syria shows little sign of abating. And the UK government's historical funding for extremists shows there are no good guys, or bad guys, in the Syrian conflict. There are merely individual players out for their own ends. For the US, the West, and their Russian counterparts to be so willing to act fast and loose over military action shows all administration's lack of care for ordinary Syrians, who have already been subjected to over 7 years of hellish conflict. As I wrote over 2 years ago, we are witnessing the First World War of the 21st century, but one that is executed by proxy. Every nation is feverishly trying to gain control of the last Middle East outpost as yet untouched by globalized multinationalism, Russia, seeking to secure the same gas supply and commodities as the EU, the US, desperately wanting regime change so it can plunge its claws into the one blank corporate canvas left in the Middle East, the Sunni Gulf regimes, frantically suppressing any Shia uprising for fear of losing their archaic, totalitarian grip on their kingdoms, and Turkey, under the increasingly despotic Erdogan, attempting to play everyone off against each other. Sadly, with the current situation in the West, Russia, and at the UN, it appears little has changed. Get involved. Read more from the Canary Global. Support Médecins Sans Frontières. Featured image via Guardian News, YouTube and BBC News. Video screen grab.